Hey everyone, here is Andy again, just coming back with a new update on the work that we have been doing for the icons, adapting icons to a 24 pixel grid. Right now, as you all know, our pixel grid is at 22 for KDE, and while it has its good purposes, it also is a bit outdated, and so we're trying to make an effort to make it better. So I wanted to mention a couple of things before I dive into the icons. One of the things that I have noticed is that our icon, let's call it the icon particle or the icon extra small icon, which is basically stuff like this plus sign, the minus sign, the check mark, the delete or cancel or negate action. These are all add-ons that are that you put on an icon to basically give it new meaning. And what I've noticed is that our application of icon separation for it is not consistent. So, for example, you can see it here. Here is a big opening for this plus sign, and the plus sign is sort of going along with the line of the icon. On this other one, the placement is almost the same, but the icon is pushed up so that it can actually make room for the extra icon. In other ones, for example, like this one, the icon sort of cuts in right at the line, and in other times, it's not the same. For example, in this A and B, or here. And so I was thinking that as a matter of design, at some point, I think I'm deciding that going forward to create these cutouts, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of trying to work out this shape, the shape of the main icon, I will add a background to the particle icon, and that gets overlaid on top of this icon, and that way the cutout is consistent every time and it follows the shape that you're seeing. So I tested some of that this last week, and you will notice in my icon review here that some of that has changed. So this week, actually, I have for you 3 new lines. So we started this queue right here. We did the megaphone and we did this keyframe icon. So 3 lines is pretty good progress. I think if I zoom out, I am at the halfway point, if not a little bit past the halfway point. So that's very encouraging. Let me show you what we did. So this week, I tackled some of these social icons. I honestly did not want to touch many of them, but I checked that some of them had an updated icon. And as you know, Twitter recently went through a rebranding, and now they're called X. And I asked in the chat for the group if we should actually change that from the Twitter icon to an X icon and still call it Twitter, or if we should create a new icon with a new logo and call it X. Either way, I don't think I found consensus. So I'm going to just leave it there for now, but that's something that we need to be aware of. For the rest of the icons, even though these are blank right here in the old version, in the old before and after, all of these are variants of this user icon. And we have used this user icon for a very, very, very long time. I remember working with the designer back in the day who was creating these icons. And while it is an okay icon, it's acceptable, it also feels a little bit dated and maybe too light to my eyes. So I was looking to change that a little bit. The Yahoo icon actually changed, so that one is updated. The YouTube icon is pretty much the same, except some rounding changes. I try to standardize the the keyboard icon, because right now you see how the main icon shifts positions to make room for the arrow up or arrow down. I also updated the mouse icon to be a little bit more defined, I would say, because right now we have these big blobs of black color. The enter icon we already have. Some of these elements here also changed, and I try to make the ruler icon a little bit different. The image icon, actually right now we already created that one, so all we have to do is insert the plus sign, and as you can see, the plus sign has kind of an inconsistent application of its boundary, which is something that I'm trying to change. In fact, in the new system that I'm working with, I am moving all of these items, these extra small items, to be 1 pixel off to the right and 1 pixel off from the bottom to at the edge, towards the edge of the icon, and that way they have a defined placement. It's a little bit easier to work with when you're actually producing a lot of icons. This link icon, it already exists, so I try to standardize it. The function icon exists as well. This is a slice or cut icon. I try to define that. And then we have an index icon that actually got updated as well. Here you have a grid icon, and I try to change that because it actually has a lot of detail there that we probably don't have now. So here are some others that are super easy to do, and we already have. The megaphone icon, I try to change it a little bit and make it follow other rules we have already established. And here's some other versions of it, some join icons, bookmarks, and the video icons. Actually, if you notice, let me toggle the interface here a little bit. This icon here is Kdenlive icons. And if you notice, this family of icons doesn't seem to have a consistent application of the cinema roll kind of icons, right? So it's not represented here and it's not represented here, but it is back here and not here and not here. And so you'll see that I try to unify that look and make it look more aligned. I couldn't do it for all of them, but I think that Kdenlive users might appreciate the unification of the look. Then there are some expansion icons, more Kdenlive icons, operation items. And here's again another edit image, text setting, flags, and more about Kdenlive. All of these icons are Kdenlive. So even these ones right here, these are the keyframe icons that tell users, select a frame here, select a frame there, delete that frame, all those actions. And one thing that I noticed, while the icon looks great, there is also a simplicity of it that could be made here that is missing. So I try to make sure that with the new icon for keyframe, I try to follow a standard, because there are a lot of applications that do work with keyframes, and they represent their icons a little bit different. And I'm thinking, if there are users coming from the bigger platforms into Linux where they want to use Kdenlive, or if they want to sort of align Kdenlive in their own environment, like a Windows machine or a Mac, it seems in those environments that Kdenlive would look a little bit different than most of them, and they're doing the same thing. So people would have to relearn. So I'm just trying to apply a good familiarity principle from user experience, and I try to change this a little bit and make the shapes a little bit different. Then if we go back to the start on the third line, there's more keyframe icons, and then some chat icons that appear here, some operations, and then we start seeing K-stars icons. And these ones have received some updates, and I try to make them a little bit better, especially these ones right here. This one right here is supposed to represent the Milky Way, which it kind of does in the way that it's represented in the sky, but it feels like it's missing some things. And also I noticed that the star icon is not consistent among other versions of the star icon. So I try to unify that. I haven't worked on the Wi-Fi icon yet, but we already have also the filter icon. So only 2 icons, almost 3 lines, forgive me. But again, I'm a volunteer, so I'm just doing what I can with the time I have. But I'll get that done for sure. So let me show you what I did. So on the right, we have the after, right? So for the user icon, I gave it a little bit more chunkiness, more presence by circling out the body of the icon. And as you notice, the cutouts follow the shape that you have on the side. So I try to standardize that. That's one of the experiments that I'm doing. I probably have to do it here as well, right? But as you notice, if we click on the boundaries for the icon, you notice that the additional particle icon is 1 pixel off from, actually I need to move it right there. 1 pixel off from the right and from the bottom. And that ensures that the main shape is centered in the icon, while the other one is an appendage to it and it has its own placement. So that's what I did. And like I said, the Yahoo icon and the YouTube icon are almost, well, the Yahoo changed a lot. So I just took that as they provided it. I didn't change very much. And the YouTube icon is a little bit more rounder than before. For the digital keyboard icon, I simplified the shape and I kept it at the same height. If there is one pet peeve of mine, is that I usually try to minimize the UI moving up and down, right? And so if you had different states of this icon, the main icon would stay the same, and the only change that you would see would be the arrow. The mouse icons now have interesting cutouts there for the wheel, something that you could not see before because they sort of worked in the same spot and it was just a blob of black. So right now you can kind of make out that it's a button and there is a scroll wheel there. The rest of the icons changed a little bit based on what they do. This is an information icon that tells the user that there is more info here. This one is a footnote insert, so I try to make that a little bit better, which is something that you kind of don't see here in the old icon. So I try to, sort of tokenize to simplify the symbol and make it better. The ruler icon changed a little bit to adapt, because if you notice in the previous one, the ruler is sort of floating up here, right? It's sort of detached and not so in close proximity of the plus icon. So you kind of don't see a lot of connection there. So I try to minimize that. And I did that by making it closer to the plus icon. Here's the image icon, the link icon, the function. This is a marker icon. And this is a split icon, which, changed a little bit because I wanted to represent that you're cutting something. Then we have sort of a table icon. Actually, that's what this icon is supposed to be. So I try to make it a little bit more table-y, but there we go. Then we have the text icon. Let me sorry, that when I have too many icons, Figma goes a little crazy. The text icon, I try to simplify its shape. Then we have, actually, let me make sure. This icon actually is misplaced. There we go. There we go. And then we have this kind of like scratch icon with cutouts again. Nothing too different here. And then we have, I simplified the megaphone shape as well. It should be more workable this way and leading to less blurriness. And also I applied the minus sign, but from other shapes that we have in the larger system. So it seems to negate the megaphone or the notification. So that's pretty good. As you can see, we changed the shape and we keep going, simplified some more shapes. We already have the bookmark icon or the contacts icon, so we don't have to change much. And here's what I was talking about before with all the icons belonging to Kdenlive. So I try to, keep that idea of the film roll available. And some of them, you just cannot change. But for example, for this center stage icon, I try to give it a little bit more meaning for that means insertion. So that changed a little bit. Then I kept the same idea over here. I actually explored Kdenlive while doing these icons because I didn't want to go with something too extreme or too different. But I also wanted something that people can easily recognize from afar. Kdenlive is an application, is very professional in nature. So being distinct in your icons is very important because it makes it that much easier for users to find what they need. So for these icons about separation and splitting, I made some changes as well to unify the shapes and keep the same idea. And then for other stuff, for example, for this timeline separation, these icons are supposed to represent the timeline being broken up or joined. That's what I put here. For the marker icon, I created this, which is an icon that is used in other applications very similarly, and it's more manageable when you're working with a timeline. For the rest of the icons, that's what you got. And for the for the separation of audio and video, that's what I did. Because on this one, it's a little bit different and not quite as defined. This one could represent the sound better. To me, it would need improvement. Here is the star icon with a simplified shape. And this is what I did for the keyframe. I changed the shape to a key or a diamond shape. It seems to be much more workable, much more in line. In my view, you may disagree and we can challenge that. But I felt like it was a lot easier to identify. Then came, as you can see, the K-stars and chat icons. This actually challenged me to go back to the chat icons that I had created at the beginning of this process and really hone in on the shape and make it better. This icon here with the question mark is still a work in progress. I'm trying to define what the best shape would be for this. And so I'm not too sold on it, but it seems more rounded and easier to work with. Here's another idea on the shape. If you notice, there's a circle behind this. And I'm trying to see if maybe this is something that I would want to pursue, where all of these icons have this cutout that is consistent, but also following a round shape. It's a test. It's not the final thing. So I'm still deciding on that because it doesn't always apply the best for all of them. Then for the rest of the icons, as you can see, we're working with K-stars. And one thing here is that I noticed that a few of the shapes that I'm seeing, it seem a little bit not coordinated. So I went ahead and created these icons. And so an icon that's showing a constellation boundary, a constellation line, constellation with names, constellation overlay for the shape of its, for the name of its constellation. And for the deep field, I try to make something different because this is the deep field view that you have right now. And, to me, it sort of doesn't speak depth. And I wanted it to tell me, even if it's not extremely accurate, that it tells me that I'm looking peering into the deep field of space, of the universe. Here are a couple of other icons that are supposed to represent, an observatory and a galaxy. These two icons right here are supposed to be different kinds of views of equatorial or top view. And when I overlaid them on K-stars, they look like this instead and like that. So I was like, hey, there's a really interesting way we could make one icon represent both states if we just swap the shapes around. And that's what I did. The rest of the shapes are staying the same. This cup icon here comes from a space agency. So I try to recreate the logo Assistance Today in a more simplified way. So that's what I got here. So it follows the thing. Here is the Milky Way icon from before and after. So here's your before and here's your after. And as you notice, I added a consistent 4-point shape for the star. I edited the satellite icon to be a little bit more symbolized rather than too detailed. I think from far away, it seems much easier. Then comes the solar system icon. And here is the stars icon that I was talking about before. So this is the before, this is the after. This is the current, and this is the current. So it's the same, and we keep consistent. And like I said, I haven't touched these two icons at the end of the line, but that's what I got. Anyway, those are the updates for this week. I hope you like them. As always, your feedback and your help is welcome. And let me know if you need anything. Have a good day.